Hi students, today we're going to be talking about healthcare. This is a lot of notes, so please turn in your notebooks to page 14 and 15. We're going to spend most of the class period on this. Make sure if any questions come up in the Nearpod while you're watching this, you go ahead and add those. Applications of biotechnology are spreading rapidly. Genetic engineering, which is just genetic modification, is using DNA technology to modify the genetic makeup of an individual. You remember that will lead to a transgenic organism or a genetically modified organism. They mean the same thing. They lead to advancements in healthcare. One of the first is the Human Genome Project. This is a 13-year project involving many scientists. Scientists sequence the 30,000 genes found in the human genetic code. And if you remember, we've actually looked at this during class time. Human genome sequencing, mapping every gene in the human genome. Remember, the DNA is made up of sequence base pairs, those ATCG, the all tigers can growl, adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. That allows knowledge of all the detailed info in DNA. So now, because of the Human Genome Project, because scientists have spent so long mapping out the human genome, all of the DNA in a human, we're able to look and find where exactly there is a genetic disease in the chromosomes. Now, gene therapy we've also talked about before. It's a way to replace malfunctioning genes with functional genes. This will treat genetic disorders and replaces every defective gene with functioning genes. Here are some examples. First is severe combined immunodeficiency, it's SCIDS. This is a genetic disease. Patients lack a portion of the gene that controls the immune system. Scientists can attempt to replace that missing sequence with functional DNA. And they do that through gene therapy. So that's one of the diseases that can potentially be treated with gene therapy. Another one is cystic fibrosis, which you might be familiar with. A mutated gene causes excess mucus production in the lungs, which will essentially stop the person from breathing and lead to severe complications and early death. Scientists are attempting to treat this with gene therapy. Since they know where in the genes the mistake is, they can potentially fix it with gene therapy. A difficult drawback is it is difficult. It can't be done in every cell. Because a person has 30 trillion cells, it's difficult to go into every single one and replace that DNA that's faulty. So transgenic engineering, this is the same thing as genetic modification. It's the same thing. I don't know why they continue to call it different things. It's transferring DNA from one organism to another. So we've talked about this example before, bacteria that have been genetically modified to produce human insulin. How it works is a gene for insulin production is inserted into that bacterial cell, and then that bacteria, it's going to take in nutrients and let off that human insulin, which we can then take and use for diabetics. A couple possible medicinal uses for genetic modification are cancer, predicting the risk of cancer, diagnosing cancer, treating cancer caused by specific genes. Also heart disease, which is having a heart attack, having a heart that's prone to heart attacks. Again, diagnosing, finding genetic links, using gene therapy to treat heart failure, stem cell research, all to do with biotechnology. And AIDS, treating infected cells, gene therapy, antivirals, identifying infected cells. This is how biotechnology can help us. This next chunk below on your notebook. This has nothing to do with healthcare, and we'll talk about this more. But if you don't understand anything else from here on out, just take the notes and we'll talk about it later. So genetically engineered organisms, like we said, they're also called GMOs. They're also called transgenic organisms. They all mean the same thing. Purposes are agriculture and pharmaceuticals, transgenic organisms like human insulin. Agricultural applications are genetically modified crops, like we talked about. A couple purposes would be increased productivity, tasting better, growing seasons, better yield, longer shelf life, all of those things. Conservation, you'll have to skip past other examples, is using a variety of methods to preserve natural resources, and we're going to spend a whole day on this. Bioremediation is a way to remove pollution from contaminated environments and water. And we do that by introducing natural organisms to the water or in contaminated environment. Okay, that's it for page 14 and 15. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.